Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek podcast. Still making our rounds here in Texas. My Lord, it's a big state. Yeah. So there's just so many people to visit while I'm down here. We missed San Antonio on this trip, and I really wanted to get down. We got to Austin, and then cut over here on I-10, headed toward Houston. I got a chance to sit down with someone today that I just want to introduce. Really, really cool getting to meet you so far. But I'll tell you what, if you just want to introduce yourself, a little bit about who you are, what you do, products you sell, that kind of thing to the industry.
Okay. It's Kevin Knight. I'm with owner of Knight Outdoor Products. We have two locations, one in Sealy, Texas, one in Weimar, Texas. We've been at it since late 2017. We started out with, we've been through a couple of different manufacturers. Started out with General Shelters and Graceland, C&H Carports. And through the years, we've had to make a few changes. We still have General Shelters. We've gone through from Graceland, we went to Woodtex, United, and now we're with Stormore. We've been with them for a couple of years now. Very pleased with them. And basically started out with just a small lot there in Sealy right off of I-10, and took some time to get it built up properly where we could get enough buildings in there. And then, of course, we had to go through construction on I-10. So when I first started out there, we had a two-way feeder road, real easy to get to us. Then they shut that down, and we went through construction for almost 2 years. And we survived that. We had people coming in saying, well, I missed your exit and had to go 4 miles out of the way to get to you and stuff like that. So we survived that, and then ended up opening up the location here in Weimar a couple years ago. A little bit easier, better site for us. I mean, it was pretty much made for us when we moved here, and able to get a lot of buildings in here.
You're right on I-10. So
yes.
Traffic is obviously at a maximum. I wonder, does that interstate traffic sort of generate leads for you, or do you feel like it's, I don't know, I'm almost curious, because you got the frontage road here too.
Right. So obviously you get the people that come in and they say, well, I've been passing you for months and I've been wanting to stop in and look at this and that. It's good. I know they're recognizing us, but it's funny. It's not like the biggest thing that brings them into us. I mean, it's good to be noticed, but they're traveling 75, 80 miles an hour, and they say, oh, I missed my exit.
Well, you do have the big billboard.
Yeah, I have the billboard right here in front. It's on both sides. I think the biggest thing, though, is that 18 by 62 cabin out there that people see and they want to come look at. So that definitely attracts a lot of attention for us.
No doubt the first thing you see when you pull in, and the nice glass door with the Texas Star on the front. I mean, just the quality is really beautiful. Mm-hmm. And you have quite a bit of property here.
Yeah, we're right at 4 acres. It's all fenced in. It's the good thing is a majority of it is hard ground. They use this as a lay down area for the big concrete barriers and stuff for a long time. And it's fully fenced. We do keep the gate open. I let people come and go all the time. We are right next door to the police station, so that helps. So
yeah, probably keeps people out of your building.
Yeah, we don't have the vagrants like some people do. So yeah. And I'm also fortunate with there in Sealy. We're not right next to the police station, but they do go through our lot quite a bit, several times a night.
So what did you do, Kevin, before finding the shed industry? Surely in 2017 you didn't just say, out of the blue, I want to start selling sheds. There's a story that got you there somehow, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. So my last job prior to starting this, I was actually a sales manager for Trinity Cryogenics. So we sold cryogenic trailers and tanks, and my territory was the United States and Canada. So I did a lot of traveling. Left on Monday and came back Friday, and of course, when I was younger, that was fun.
Yeah.
But when you got a family, it's not so much fun anymore.
Yeah.
And so at the very end, I actually had something you don't normally get. My boss came to me a year ahead of time and told me that you got a one year runway. You need to figure out what you're going to do because we're selling this division. And so I had a lot of time to think on the plane trips and stuff, and something brought me back to this industry because I sat down with a gentleman in Livingston. I'd bought a building from him and sit there and talk to him and kind of picked his brain about the business as much as I could, and he was willing to listen. So, it kind of, that, I think that was a seed that started the whole process. And once I got to that point of deciding that, at that time when I was about to lose my job, I was turning 50. I said, you don't go find another job at 50.
Yeah.
So I figured out what I wanted to do. I sold the lake house, sold the boat, cashed in the 401k, and I just started this business, and been very blessed. We made it through a lot of, that first year obviously was pretty tough. Second year a little bit tougher. Then we had the construction on I-10. I couldn't ask for a better industry. Met a lot of good people. Get to meet different clients every day. It's really good. Have them coming back to us to get their second and third building, and it's really good.
Yeah, you can definitely build a lot of relationships inside the industry, but even with the amount of clientele that you see, I always say that's an opportunity for ministry. For me, ministry's always been close to my heart. So like having a chance to see people, sometimes it's more than sales and things. So it's kind of nice.
Right.
Managing your rent-to-own contracts just got easier with RTO Smart. Designed by leaders in the rent-to-own storage industry, RTO Smart was handcrafted to enable you with the tools needed to manage your own contracts your way without using a third-party rent-to-own company. RTO Smart is your one-stop shop, allowing you to generate contracts and manage customer accounts from start to finish while maintaining simplicity and flexibility. Call us today at 316-618-9396 or visit our website at rtosmart.com to schedule a live demo and discover why RTO Smart may be right for your business. Did you say you sold tanks, just to be clear?
So a cryogenic vessel,
Okay.
tank could be anywhere from 500 gallons up to 10,000 gallons of liquid cryogenics. So,
Okay.
So it's basically a big thermos bottle. It's got an inner vessel and outer vessel and insulation and vacuum pool. So there's like at hospitals, you have oxygen tanks that they deliver it in liquid and obviously turn it to a gas.
Okay.
So there's trailers going up and down this interstate that are 18-wheelers that have that same product, and nitrogen, argon, oxygen.
Yep.
So, yeah, sold quite a few throughout the country and Canada, and the trailers were $250,000 a piece, so a little bit different.
Yeah.
Selling anywhere from.
Well, when I heard tanks, I thought armored tanks, and I was like,
Oh,
I need to go back and revisit this, because I was about to say you just earned a spot as the coolest guy on the podcast if you sold tanks.
Yeah, no.
As in armored vehicles.
No.
So this would be like, I worked for Dippin' Dots for a small
Okay.
time. Dippin' Dots would have had, like, they had brought in raw, milk to turn the process in, with CO2.
Freeze it.
To freeze it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you would have sold those tanks.
Right.
Yeah. Those, as far as like those semi trailers going up and down the road. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how it's such a small world sometimes in the.
Yeah. I mean, it literally was the first building I ever bought was from the dealer there in Livingston to house my boat, and because I got tired of carrying it back and forth, and so really, I can't even remember how long I sat there and picked his brain about it, and it was obviously a couple of years later whenever I started this, but I just picked up the phone and started calling the manufacturers, and that's how we got started.
That's good. So what is your experience been over 7 years now, roughly? It's going on 7.
Yeah, we're in our 6th year now. Yeah, it was late. I really don't count starting till January of 18.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it took us a while to get the lot up and going. I think maybe sold 1 or 2 buildings that December, but it really didn't kick off till that January. But
how's the difference been from that sales position you had before to selling a product?
Well, it's obviously you're meeting more people. I dealt with a certain amount of clientele at each one of the companies I dealt with had somebody that was their purchaser or whatever, and it was more of going and meet with them, find out if they had any issues, maybe take them to dinner or something, like that. But here you're here all day long, and you're either answering an email, answering the phone, or waiting for somebody to come on the lot. And obviously working on your marketing is a big part of it as well. So it's amazing how much, my wife asked, well, how do you do that? I said, well, we stay busy. I mean, there's always something to do. And if I get to the point where I'm not answering the phone or something like that, I'll just start doing more ads.
Excuse me. Yeah, matter of fact, we stay so busy sometimes I say I don't know when my job's done. The problem is it's not like traditional work, painting a shed, building a shed, roofing a shed, hauling a shed, whatever it looks like. You don't really know when you're done sometimes because there's always more to do. There's always some area that you feel like is lacking. And the minute you improve one, it seems like the area over here now needs a little bit of attention. You have beautiful buildings here, a lot of different manufacturers, and you sort of saw that as a strength as an individual independent dealer to sort of be able to offer a multiplex, if you will, of sheds, but then also steel buildings. You've seen, I think you told me, you said, one of your first reps said, maybe you should get some steel buildings and sell some of those that might help pay for your rent or a utility bill or something.
Right.
And that's proven to be a very large part of your business.
Exactly. I thought it was funny whenever he told me, he said, yeah, you might want to find a carport company to represent, at least maybe pay for your electric bill or something. And turns out that it's the biggest thing we can do. We sell a lot of metal buildings. It's a high part of our revenue. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I get a kick out of that every time I think of that.
It's done more than my electric bill.
Right.
Yeah. So, and you offer a couple of different manufacturers.
When I came in the industry, everybody told me, you got to find a manufacturer and stick with them. And I looked at it differently. At one point in my career before selling cryogenic tanks and stuff, I also ran a trucking company. And so there I found out that you do not want to keep all your eggs in one basket. They were trying to say, well, we want all your drivers here. Well, then you lose that contract, then you got to find another place for them to go. So with this, I used that same mentality, and I decided I wanted to get multiple manufacturers to represent. And I think it helped us quite a bit during the time when everybody was having trouble getting inventory. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to rely on just one manufacturer. I had multiple manufacturers that I dealt with. I do the same thing. I think many people in this industry now probably do the same thing with the metal buildings. They use more than one manufacturer because, sometimes there's certain areas that one company can do and the other one can't. It's really,
it just makes sense.
yeah.
Just makes sense. You mentioned a large building here by General Shelter that's out front. Is that the biggest you guys go, 18 by 62? That's a pretty big building. That's something they don't see on the East Coast.
Yeah, the biggest they go is 18 by 66.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was just slightly smaller than, that one's 1862, 1,116 square feet, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, fully finished cabin, ready to go, plug and go. We sell, a few of those. It's not one of your hottest sellers, but it does draw attention, and we get people in here. What I find happens a lot, and that's why you'll see a lot of our cabin shells out here, is people like to do it themselves. So they go in there, and that inspires them to what they can do with one of our shells. So we do sell. I don't have any of the bigger ones right now, but we usually 16 by 52, 16 by 60. We sell quite a few of those shells.
Yeah. Do you think that's just, I don't think that's just a Texas thing. I think it seems to be everywhere. What do you think lends that opportunity to us to sell those? Do you think folks are just looking to downsize? Why would someone be shopping for that size building?
So I experience it 2 different ways. We have younger couples that are just starting out or whatever that believe it or not, the rent to own helps them a lot to get into something like that. At least gives them some type of place to start. Yeah. But we also get the folks that are moving out of Houston, and they're buying property out this way, and they just need something, to stay in while they're building their other house. This will turn into a guest house later, that type of thing. So it runs the whole gamut. I mean, you're going to see different types of people. You have the RV park down the road. They bought several of them from us, and they'll turn those into cabins and rent them out. There's a good industry right now for that, and that's why I feel we're very in a great spot being just outside of Houston there in Sealy, because that's where everybody's coming. They're all heading west, and even further out here to Weimar. They're getting to the point where they can't get the property because the property's so expensive in and around that area that they're moving out further now. So I think we're in a good spot.
Well, I read a post just recently. It's a dealer friend of mine in Anna, Illinois, Don Skelton. He posted something about Texas, and I was like, man, it's so interesting. We're in Texas, and it was talking about the Texas Triangle or whatever between Dallas, Fort Worth, down to San Antonio and over to Houston, but then all that's in between, like Austin. I mean, Austin's a very big city now. Like, people don't realize how much it's maybe grown in 20 years.
Right.
Waco, is getting larger, and then everything in between, and there was an interesting fact. I should check that as a fact. It was a Facebook post, right? But there was an interesting comment on there. It said 25% of all retail in the United States happens in that triangle. It's like, I don't remember how many millions of people it was, 11 million people or whatever it was. And when you think about, Chicago, New York, LA, all the rest of the large places, but Houston's like the 4th largest city population wise, and DFW is just huge, spread out. And then you've got Austin down to San Antonio, and you don't really know where one stops and one starts, it seems like. And there's just so much opportunity, it feels like, down here in Texas. It seems that you're out in the middle of nowhere here on I-10 in Weimar. But, man, there's such a population density, population density pool in your area.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we're basically on Interstate 10, almost halfway between Houston and San Antonio. And those people go back and forth all the time. I remember as a kid growing up, I kept thinking it's going to be funny one day. San Antonio and Houston are going to merge.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's coming to fruition. They brought the interstate out they're bringing it all the way to Columbus, 4 lanes both ways. I mean, it's ridiculous how big these interstates are now, and everything's moving. San Antonio's coming this way, Houston's going that way.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to be out here. They want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city, and they want to, move out to the country and make their lives more simple. And they are downsizing, and that's, like I said, not just a normal shed anymore. I mean, they're
well, and with the population growth that you're also seeing from other states coming into Texas, that means the housing market's behind, and that means there's opportunity for shed guys to sell a shed to a new family.
Absolutely. And I hear it every day. It's like, whether it's a shell cabin or one of these carport garages, they need something to store their stuff in while they're getting everything else ready, so it makes perfect sense. I mean,
so what's your approach, Kevin? Somebody comes onto the lot. Let's say there's a guy listening in Washington State or Pennsylvania today or down in Florida. What's your approach? These are guys you don't compete with. What advice do you give? What is sort of the customer comes on and they want to start looking around, or you came out the door right away when we pulled up, so I feel like you go and meet and greet your potential customers right off the bat. You probably found it strange an RV was pulling in to buy a shed, but you never know.
I actually thought I was going to be selling an RV structure today. I had forgotten all about our meeting today. So
I love honesty at its core.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a customer ask you about how to supply power to their shed? Do you sell electrical kits as an upsell for your sheds currently? Do you want an easy, no-hassle option to offer for your customers when they want to add electric to their sheds? Check out EcoEthics Solar. EcoEthics Solar is looking for shed manufacturers and shed dealers who want to be able to provide a solar electric option to their line of sheds. With EcoEthics Solar, you can purchase the SunSaver, a solar product specifically designed with the shed owner in mind. Want to offer a larger product that can operate a full tiny home? At EcoEthics Solar, they have the necessary product, training, and capacity to meet your customers' needs. Installation for the SunSaver is simple and takes just 45 minutes. You can even install it right there on your sales lot or at the manufacturing facility. EcoEthics Solar even provides hands-on in-person training if necessary. Plus, they will provide you with video tutorials and handouts with specific installation instructions that keeps adding a solar-powered electrical system to your shed fast and simple. In many cases, the end user can even perform the installation once the shed is delivered to their home. If you are interested in purchasing a unit for display and then drop shipping your orders, or even ordering multiple units to have available as you build, contact my friends at EcoEthics Solar at 336-250-1284 or email sales@ecoethicsolar.com.
So I guess the biggest thing that I've seen in this industry, which bothers me, and I think it bothers our customers, is there's places like this that are show to be open, but there's nobody ever there. And I don't know how many times I get a phone call from people and they're like, "Are you open today?" or something like that, because they're so used to going to a place like this that nobody's there to man it for them.
Yeah.
And what I try to do each and every time, as soon as somebody pulls up on the lot, I mean, I don't go open the door for them, but I'll at least stand outside the door and let them know I'm here. And there's people that want you to help them. There's people that just want to look around. And, I try to read them and figure out what works best, because you can't just automatically assume that they just want to look.
Yeah.
They need somebody there with them to explain the building, how it's built, the warranties, everything. And so you can feel whenever you're upsetting somebody or you're
pushing a little too hard or trying to, overselling almost, just kind of probably anxious. I think this, I don't know if you do or not, but when you're a new salesperson, like, if you believe in your product and you believe in yourself and you just want to show that, I think that's whenever it happens the most, is because sometimes people do just want to look, and maybe they're 2 months out, 3 months out from making a decision. But if you push really hard and you're trying to capture that sale today, that maybe you can push them almost away.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a young man that salesman in Sealy that's what I love about him is he's really good with people, and he doesn't push people. I know, and I've watched him, and in some cases I'm like, want to say, hey, you want to at least ask for the sale.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I think he's getting better at it.
Sure.
He's been with me a little over a year, and that's the biggest thing I tell him. I said, you can't just sit in your office and wait for them to knock on the door. When they pull, I've got gate alarms everywhere. I said, when somebody pulls up on the lot.
Yeah.
And at least go out, recognize that they're here, and offer them some assistance. And he knows if they say no, we're not interested, we just want to look around, he'll back off. But if they want help, he'll stay with them. And there's times that I'll have customers leave there and come down here, and they say, tell me how good that our salesperson was. He was knowledgeable, he was friendly.
Yeah,
I love to hear that.
Yeah. Well, when you're either young in general, but even young in sales, it's you believe in the product. So sales can become a very emotional process for you because you wonder, what I do wrong to let that one get away. I feel like I showed value. I had my script down good. I asked all the right questions. I listened to what they had to say. Tried to just offer value whenever they asked for, had questions that they would ask. I can't help but think if I was here the first place, I would almost want to start. Most places like car dealerships and that they will start at a base model and upsell if possible. A lot of times,
yeah.
Man, with that 18x62 sitting here, I can't help but think that you could just walk someone right in there, and whether it's for storage or whether they're wanting to turn this thing into a home. And I haven't looked in it yet, so I was just admiring the outside of it. But, I don't know if it's modular certified. We haven't talked about all these different things or whatever, but surely people just see those and they see the possibility.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, they'll walk through that, and it may be a little bit out of their price range, but then they start getting ideas of what they can do for themselves. So that's what's great about that. And it definitely helps. We've had several different models come through here, and that's one of the most intriguing ones we've had. It's just that design with those windows and that monoslope and everything really draws attention to people.
We'll have to put some pictures of it on for those who watch on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, just go check out the Shed Geek podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe while you're there. If you're going to take a look at a couple of videos, might as well help me out if you don't mind and subscribe. But we'll try to throw some pictures and maybe take a little video or something. I don't know. We'll include it in the episode here for those who want to go see it. But it's tall as well.
Yeah, it is. You said your RV's like 12.6. It still towers over that. So.
It's a big building.
Right.
It really is a big building. Yeah, the RV looks small compared to it.
So one other thing I like to tell people about, and I tell my new salespeople when they come on board, don't ever answer a question that you don't know the answer to. Don't try to make it up. Just say, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll find out for you.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the biggest downfalls I see with salespeople is they try to they think they can fake their way through it. Well, the customer's going to pick up on that immediately.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the big things I try to tell folks as well, especially when you're first starting out. There's a lot to learn. You think a shed is simple, but there's a lot of detail to it, and you need to know that detail. And it helps, when you can feel comfortable about what you're telling them. So
I would say even more so on the carport side, the metal structures, there's a ton of learning curve there.
Yeah, you can make some mistakes real quick, and they get costly if you don't catch it. So yeah, it's an industry. When I first started out, I was actually working on one here earlier. We didn't have configurators.
Yeah.
We worked out of a book, and you had to line for line item, add each thing up.
Yeah.
I was working on an adder for a customer that I sold back in 2018, and I pulled the order up and I said, "Oh my God, this is one of those." And we actually had to hand sketch the drawing for the building. And but yeah, back then you could miss something real easy.
And it's really impressive to hear you talk about that, because that's in 5 or 6 years what kind of change we've seen.
Exactly.
I definitely, I would always say my CRM was my notepad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my configurator was my little piece of paper that I'd draw out a square on. At one point, I think we had printed something that we found online of just a little square box.
Exactly.
Kind of mimicked what we were going for.
Right.
And a lot of people still do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Just to be clear, I'm not criticizing that.
No,
it's really just, I do think that those who are embracing some of the different technologies and things can see value, and probably can see a more efficient way of doing things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It just makes the whole sales process so much easier when you can sit down and pull up that 3D model and sit here and start talking to the customer, and they say, "Well, no, I want this over there, or, this door on this side, the window here," and and they're getting a mental picture of this building, and they're taking ownership that way. Used to just hand them out a sheet of paper and say, "Here you go."
Yeah. Looks something like
Looks
this.
something like this.
What advice do you give to those who struggle though through technology, whether it's not just embracing it from a cultural perspective, but even just didn't grow up, we talked about my son's with me, he's 19, he grew up with a phone in his hand or technology readily available that we didn't have maybe when we were growing up as much. We had some, maybe more than our parents, but less than our own kids.
Right.
So we're in that strange time of what advice do you give to those who are like, well, I don't really understand it well enough, and in some cases I don't even know questions to ask about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know there's still things out there that I don't feel comfortable with, and I try to learn them. I do know that if I didn't take the time to learn that configurator, I would have been left a long time ago. It may be difficult, it may be uncomfortable, but I think you'll find it makes your life a lot easier once you figure it out. I was telling you earlier, I mean, used to we were able to create our own websites and do our own keywords. Now you need people that's what they do on a daily basis to help you, because you can't keep up with technology right now. It's just you need to learn it, but you can't keep up with what's going on behind the scenes.
It moves so fast. A new phone is owed really quick because of the speed that technology does work at. And that is a difficult thing because you can spin if you're not careful.
This is James Price of ShedPro on Faith in Business. Faith in business, those terms can invoke deep emotions and passions in people. I've heard some say business and religion shouldn't mix. You can't be truly faithful in business. Religion is for Sunday, Monday is for work, and still others that say we can't do good business without faith. Let's rethink Jesus. The Gospels don't paint a picture of a stained glass church image of Jesus, but instead, he appears as a workplace minister. Oz Hillman illustrated this idea best with the following numbers. Out of the 132 public appearances of Jesus, 122 were in the marketplace. Of 52 parables Jesus told, 45 had a workplace context. Of 40 miracles in the book of Acts, 39 were in the marketplace. The world revolves around the marketplace, and Jesus knew that. People learn values and gain satisfaction in the marketplace. Faith in business meets people in their comfort zone to impart godly values and godly satisfaction. So if we rethink Jesus, faith in business should naturally mix. This is James Price. Thanks for listening.
So, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, you talked about creating a GoDaddy site early on and kind of punching in your own keywords and just different things like that where that was with the trucking company too, right? That I think
No, that was the golf tour. I ran an amateur golf tour on the side. That was my side job.
Nice. Man, so, I get like Dylan, my marketing partner, he's hooked up with a guy who's doing like a golf simulator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like that's how much things have changed. Just like that's sort of a job for him that he's doing on the side too. Yeah, I mean his regular marketing company that he works with, it's pretty crazy. Like what you're seeing from the training modules, for just trying to get people's, get the slice out of their swing and things like that. So
a lot more technology in that than there used to be as well.
Well,
for sure.
Boating, I think he's involved with some different guys, and then power sports. I mean, just seeing the different things that you're able to do with that. You know, with sheds, you know, we talk about like staging things digitally. So being able to show the space. So like if you've got a 4-wheeler or a lawnmower or what you're putting in there, it's like trying to understand the space. Because how many times has somebody come back and said, I need a bigger shed? You know, it's, I always say I didn't figure for that because, you know, they're probably budget conscious, and that's understandable. But better sometimes to go ahead and buy what you need.
Yeah. It's like, you always get these people coming here. I just need an 8x8. I said, no, you don't.
Yeah.
That'll never do.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. It's not going to work. Let's take you and show you. And I felt like, I think that's the journey of a sales guy. The job of a sales guy is to do that. I think about purchasing cars, and I can think back about the professional salespeople that I met in my lifetime who I had my eyes on this, and they were already seeing I was young and I needed something more practical. They would downsell, and then I would go back to them and eventually buy. And we bought from a couple different companies several times because of that, because of the trust that we saw that they put into us, that it took us a little bit of time to mature into realizing that. Right. So it's just what you do, you know, an 8x8 for what you're discussing doesn't make sense. You're going to need at least this size, or let's go take a look at it. And, you know, with technology, you can stage those things nowadays, and it just makes things simpler. And I don't know if that's the point that it gets the sale done, Kevin, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
Right. Well, I mean, there's so many times, you know, you have people come step on the lot, you know, they walk around and we find a building, or we think we find a building. And then unfortunately they came in here thinking of something smaller. And then next thing you know, they're like, well, I got to go back and measure my yard and make sure it's going to fit, you know? So, we're not pushing them at that point, you know? So yeah, I agree. Make sure it's going to fit, make sure it gets to your gate, that type of thing. But sometimes that kind of comes back to bite you. But you have to let them know that, you know, maybe you do need a little bit more based on what you're telling me. And even these configurators now, they have where you can put in a car, or you can put in a, you know, it's amazing what you can do with this.
So I've had a few people reach out to me over the last couple of years, and even seems like some more recently, that are just getting into the industry. Maybe they find the podcast or something like that, and they say, hey, we've listened to quite a few of them. We're trying to take it all in. We're trying to learn. What's the best advice you could offer, Kevin Knight, 6 years into this now? What's the best advice? What's a top 1, 2, or 3 things that you would suggest to somebody getting into the shed industry as a shed dealer or even carport dealer?
Well, the main thing is to, you know, like you said earlier, you have to believe in your product. Make sure you find a product that you feel comfortable representing. You know, you don't want to have to, that should not be the thing that you focus on and worry about. It should be, you should be proud when you walk in there and you tell somebody about your product. Research. You know, find out how many of them are out there. Find out where your nearest competition is. That would help as well. I knew going in that I was right down the street from a competitor, but I also knew that, you know, that there's room for me. It's just like I've told people before. I said, it's just like car dealerships. They all hang out together. You know, they're competitors, but they're close by. And I think it helped both of us with me being there. And because it draws people, they say, hey, we could go out to Sealy and we could see two different, dealerships. And what I would tell somebody new getting in the industry is, I honestly, myself, I don't mind talking to people. Even if they were saying they were going to open up a dealership 30 miles from me, I'd still talk to them.
Yeah.
And I'd let them know what I know. I've talked to people before, just like I told you how I got in the industry. I talked to the gentleman for hours and just picked his brain.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need to do. You could save yourself a lot of heartache, a lot of mistakes, if you just listen to what somebody else is doing. Just like what you're providing with, your podcast. You're allowing people to, hear other people's ideas.
Yeah, and it kind of takes down the gates of like, oh no, I may let something out of the bag. There's not a whole lot of what we do that's secrecy.
Right.
I don't think. There's some level of, hey, why is this guy selling $1 million and this guy selling $50 million in sheds? What changed? What's different? And you have to talk about different business practices, scalability, different ways that you do business. But generally speaking, as a shed dealer, shed manufacturer, shed hauler, what sets you apart more times than not, I think, is the customer service that you provide. That's the one thing that's within your control. Whereas everything else is outside of your control. You can't stop a competitor from making sheds, building sheds, even making a similar product, marketing well, spending more money on it, whatever it looks like. But you can control your customer service. That's 100% within your ability.
I agree with that, definitely. And, easiest thing that I could tell anybody, and this is my motto, and just treat people the way you want to be treated. It makes life easy.
Yeah.
And I find it, even with our best manufacturers, they have hiccups, and, something may happen with the building and you need to get it fixed. And they're not getting the right answer from the manufacturer. So I tell folks, that's why you have me.
Yeah.
I'm the person that's going to take care of you and be your liaison between the manufacturer and you.
That's right.
And just take care of your customers, and they'll be repeats. They'll send people to you, and you couldn't ask for a better, customer coming through the door, somebody that was referred to you.
Yeah. Where do you think it's going? Where do you think the shed industry is headed over the next 5 years? We talk about the change that we've seen over the last 5. What do you think we'll see over the next 5? Design differences, color differences, different?
Well, it's funny you say that. I mean, one of my manufacturers just came out with a new design building. I think it's going to do really well. It's something that we've all asked for. And I do see some of those changes coming. We definitely look forward to seeing some of the changes. I mean, as far as, I think everybody's on the right track. Every one of them are, they have these great CRMs and they have these great configurators. And the biggest thing you have to do with that is utilize it and follow up with your customers, because you can lose people real quick. And I'm not saying hound people, but you do need to follow up with them. And just remind them, hey, the sale may be ending, and give you this opportunity.
Yeah. I think I think what you're doing is awesome. Definitely, love what you got going here. I feel like I love the 4 acres of buildings. We're going to go take a look around.
Absolutely.
Maybe get a few pictures of some of the sheds you got out here. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask, shed related, podcast related, anything that comes to mind? Just nothing right off the top of your head?
I can't think of anything. I'm sorry.
I just love what you're doing. I think it's good. I think your buildings are beautiful. I think it's really fun to sit down with folks like yourself who've been in the industry for a few years now, and you're starting to gain traction, and just love your sheds and your style and your whole everything that you're doing. And you got some of the coolest hats in the industry.
That's
too.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But appreciate you sitting down with me today. It's always appreciative when we're out here and we get to be around people that become acquaintances and friends through the industry. So
Right.
means a lot. I'm a big fan of prayer. I love to pray over the industry. So if you don't care, I'm going to pray, and then we're going to let you go sell a shed. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. Lord, thank you for this day, the opportunity to be in sales and to be just visiting with those that are out shopping, and I ask that we can somehow show your love through all of that. I ask that you'd bless Kevin's business and all that he's doing, and all those in and around the shed industry as we continue to move forward to promote your kingdom and all that we do. I ask that you just bless each and every one of these listeners today that's listening, make their day special. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.